And yeah, every year I tell myself that this year's the one. So far hasn't been the one, but surely this year. Yeah.
All all right. I feel like
But
after a couple.
usually delusion is how you get through it. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey, nice to meet you. My name's Cloud.
Hello. My name is Mickey.
All right, I'll go ahead and get started. Mickey, it's been about 5 years now since you won MSI. My first question is, how
Yeah.
different is it winning the LEC compared to winning an international tournament like MSI?
Well, I guess the LEC is a bit more boring, but yeah, I mean, I guess winning the last time I was also a bit weird because the final was against Team Liquid, so it was a bit, weird, like 3-0ing and then going home, and then it was also like pretty fast as well. So yeah, hopefully this time it's gonna be a bit.
All right, are there specific things or lessons you learned, winning an international tournament that you still apply to this day or you find useful?
Mm, yeah, there is quite a few. I think a lot of them comes down to drafting. I think in 2019, all of our success came from flex picks, and also playing on sidelines a lot and actually playing the map, which a lot of teams have stopped doing. So yeah, I guess that will be one of the big learnings from winning that.
All right, a lot of NA teams as well. Um, how do you stay motivated? It's been a long time that you've been playing. How do you stay motivated when it seems like the gap is widening between the East and the West?
Um, well, I guess because there's not much else to do. Yeah, I'm not sure what else I would be doing if I was not playing. So I kind of have to go all in on this one and then hope I succeed. And then if not this year, then the next year. And then if not the next year, then the year after. And yeah, every year I tell myself that this year's the one. So far hasn't been the one, but surely this year. Yeah.
All all right, I feel like
But
after a couple.
usually delusion is how you get through it. Yeah.
I was about to say, after a couple of years, I feel like I would just get depressed and be like, okay, I just can't do this anymore. But yeah, if you
Yeah,
have
well,
an,
maybe soon it's coming. Yeah.
maybe it's going, hopefully not. I love seeing you play.
If it keeps going. But yeah.
Um, How different is this G2 compared to last year? I've heard a lot of analysts like Dom and Yamato Cannon saying that this specific iteration of G2, even though it's the same roster, has a lot more tools to upset the East compared to last year.
I think this year we actually play the map well and play around waves. Thanks to a new addition to our staff, we actually learned how to play macro compared to last year. I think last year we were a little bit clueless, so I think it helps a lot when if we don't get leads from the early game, we can still win games by just playing the map well. Whereas last year we kind of relied on having to snowball early and having to get a lead for us to be able to close out games, which we were not very great at either. As you could see in the group stages of Worlds, we won early, but then mid game we were kind of trolling, and then late game we usually clutch it. But yeah, mid game was a big problem. But now with addition of Duffman, I think we are much better at that. So yeah.
That's it's interesting that you say that because I've heard this narrative in North America that it's impossible to improve if you don't play against the East often. How do you go about just keep on improving when I mean you guys are basically no one can challenge you in Europe?
I mean, even in Europe or like in your own region, there's still a lot of things you can learn from, and there's just no way that teams play their games perfectly. I think it just comes down to having knowledge to know what you can improve on. I think a lot of teams don't have that knowledge, and we also didn't have it last year, so we couldn't improve on it as well. But I think, yeah, I think as long as you have the right people with the right knowledge to actually improve, then I think it's doable, even if you don't have the best competition. Of course, it's going to be at a slower pace than if you actually play against teams that will punish you on like a regular basis, the mistakes you're doing. But yeah, otherwise you just have to imagine, or like you just have to know what the correct play is and what the enemy team should do to punish you. So then you can improve on that or like counteract that.
Okay. Well, FlyQuest got knocked out yesterday, and a big discussion was like, how is it possible that you have the all the VODs of the Asian teams, and you still don't learn from the VODs. And Inspired, previously when he lost to T1, said that a lot of times when you watch something on a VOD, it's very different than playing against it. And it sparked a whole discussion of like, is it really that different that you can't just learn or shadow box? I want to kind of get your opinion on that.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, it's a lot different. Like even scrims compared to stage. Like when you play against a team in scrims, it's also way different, and you will not learn as much as when you play on stage because usually stage games are a lot slower, and people are just doing more things as a team instead of more individual stuff compared to scrims. And yeah, on stage you can feel like how hard the enemy team is like pressuring you, or like what they're doing, or like how they play with vision. It's just a way different game, and you don't have full information compared to when you're spectating. And then in hindsight, everything is like can be obvious, but when you're in the game with limited information and also communication from your team, like how you communicate also matters a lot. It just becomes a lot more difficult, or maybe like, yeah, you just have different ideas about how you want to play, but then when you spectate, like, oh yeah, it's obvious for sure done that. So I think for sure he has a point there that it's a lot different. And you can still learn by actually watching VODs of other teams and spectating them. You just have to, again, have the knowledge to know what they're doing and why they're doing it, and then try to replicate that if it's good. But you still have to have the critical thinking to realize if it's actually good what they're doing or if it's punishable. So yeah, I think you just have to kind of know, yeah.
All right. Well, that's good advice. You just have to kind of know.
Yeah,
Couple of questions
you can
about
learn it as well.
uses. I don't know if North American can learn it. We've been trying, but we'll see.
Eventually.
Hopefully. About yourself, you talk about the differences between stage games and scrims. I'm sure it's a lot more nerve wracking and a lot more pressure playing on stage compared to scrims. How have you dealt over the years with the pressures of playing on the biggest stadiums and in front of all these crowds?
I mean, usually it's always quite nerve-wracking in the first few minutes of the game. Like I remember a lot of times I'm like shaking a bit when the minions are still spawning and stuff or loading screen. But then once you're like 1 or 2 minutes in game, it kind of goes away. Unless you start off really bad and you're already choking and then you really misplay and then you think about it a lot. But it's, yeah, you just have to move on from that point and just focus on the game, because if you focus on your mistakes that you did, then it's only going to go downhill. But yeah, I think I still have some problems sometimes with that, with nerves, I guess. And I think most players do. So yeah, I mean, you just have to do it a lot and then eventually it gets better. Yeah.
All right. My last question for you is: are you able to experience or to enjoy the experience of like traveling, playing in front of thousands of people, and just playing the games, or does the focus, the stress, the pressure kind of make you tunnel visioned and you're only able to enjoy it maybe afterwards?
Mm, yeah, I mean, I guess it's a bit of both. Up until you actually play on stage, it's more just like stress and making sure you're prepared. But then once you get to experience playing on the stage and playing a real best of five or like a series, I guess, it's all just nice, I guess. And then once you look back at it, usually the stage experience overshadows the practice and stress and all that. So overall, it leaves good memories like traveling and stuff. And yeah, after I did it for the first time, where I traveled and played on a stage, that's when I realized how nice it was, and that's also, I guess, a big motivation to keep doing it and keep qualifying for these kind of events and travel and stuff. So yeah,
All right. Well, I hope this is the year that you don't have to stay delusional after the end of it. You guys hopefully
hope so too. Yeah,
win against T1 again, and yeah, I'll be cheering for you guys. So thank you.
thank you.
I'm having a blast. G2 members are so nice to interview. I've interviewed 2 today. I've also done one of my other interviews with On. I have a lot of interviews coming out today. In the media day, it is press day, so I got 9 interviews. Make sure you subscribe, because I don't think YouTube will show you if I upload 9 videos in one day. But if you hit the subscribe tab, you will see them. So if you want to see all of them, I have some really cool people lined up. I have T1 Gumayushi, I have Lahens, I have 2 players from G2, obviously Mickey and Dylan Falco. I got 2 players from Fnatic, and I got Team Liquid Yon. So the only team I didn't get any from was TES. I have PSG Maple as well. So if you're interested in any of those, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you back here for more.